One of the hardest things to be in the world every day is Black. One of the hardest things to be in the world every day is a woman.
I think the number one thing that I would encourage white women to do is take the learnings that you've invested to better understand and use your voice. Use your voice so the woman of color in the room doesn't always have to be the woman that calls out the transgression. Use your voice so the woman of color in the meeting doesn't have to call out the transgression. Use your voice so the woman of color in the interview recap doesn't have to ask what their peer meant when they said X. Use your voice. Because whether it's right or not, Allison, there are places that you and I will go where your voice will be heard differently than mine.
Yes, welcome back. It all started like a joke. If you take a look at what is happening now, you realize these people don't want to be like Bud Light. They have been doing this for a very long time. Nobody was talking about it, but when it reached a certain level where they decided to extend this to kids, that is where people are more concerned. It is like they have crossed the red line. So to avoid this, these people are taking measures to prevent what happened to Bud Light, to Target. So when you see these people getting agitated, you should understand why they're doing that. Some of these work corporations are collapsing simply because of some of these little mistakes they are making. I don't do these videos because I hate a particular group of people. I believe as adults, they should know what is good. They should know their consumers, their customers. That is the best thing. If you are doing any business, you can carry out research to know who actually is consuming your product. By doing that, it will guide you to take some kind of decisions that will not affect the companies. You recently saw what is happening with Target after they took a decision to say, oh, if we don't take maximum precautions to avoid this, it might be devastating to us. Like I saw recently, their stock is already going down. But like situation is getting worse every single day. That being said, there is this clip I came across.
One of the hardest things to be in the world every day is Black. One of the hardest things to be in the world every day is a woman. So when you intersect those two things, you could easily identify differently if you wanted to, for protect, whatever, right? I'm not judging anybody, but I know who I see every time I look in the mirror.
The day that I announced my resignation from Target to the company was the day they were burning Target stores due to the George Floyd murder.
We
and
just
the
didn't know.
protests. We didn't know when I resigned that. We didn't know when I decided to resign that, but the day that we told Target, that's what was happening, y'all. If you don't understand how that was connected to the job we were doing, we'll talk about that later. You and I treated the Target family, especially the Black Target family, as our kinfolk and manipulated legally the movement of Black talent.
Yes, I believe you heard that. According to this article published by the Daily Mail, Target Diversity Chief says white women should take actions against systematic racism and call out transgressions in the post George Floyd war as retail giant tanks 12.5 billion in value amid botched pride merchandise. This is going viral on social media, and this is just similar to what we saw with Bud Light marketing VP after having this insane interview where she said they are targeting young people to drink Bud Light. You saw the kind of backlash after a few weeks, she was placed on leave I don't know what has happened to her since that time. Now this lady is going viral, and a lot of people are actually furious for the reason they decided to target kids. Going down on the article, target Target Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer has suggested that white women should help tackle systematic racism in the workplace by using their voice more. Kyra made the comment earlier this year encouraging white women to speak up against transgressions so the woman of color in the room doesn't always have to. She then spoke to a white person on the panel and made the claim that in certain spaces their voices will be heard differently than mine. Fernandez said that is why it is so important to have these conversations, but we also can't ignore the systematic history that got us here and then the things that we have to differently to remove those barriers. Use your voice. Carrier has been leading target racial equality actions and change initiatives to accelerate the company diversity, equality, and inclusion effort, especially following the what happened to George Floyd. The retail giant promised to increase the amount of black employees they have as well as spend more than 2 billion with black-owned brands by 2025. Fernandez, who has worked at the company for 22 years, said in a separate interview, I believe you saw the clip at the beginning of this video. That was still her. I really want to know your opinion, particularly to these situations where they bring in this issue of race, now this inclusions and diversity. It has actually triggered a lot of people.
So I just walked into Target and
If you're in the LGBTQ community or you're an ally and you still eat at Chick-fil-A and you're like, oh, but the chicken, it's so good. I'm still gonna eat it. It's fine. It's fine. It's just like one sandwich a week. Or you're just like, it's fine. They stopped doing the bad things. Look at this and
Target said this is about safety because they are getting threats over some of the products. It's just so crazy. But I will say, what starts at the back of the store always comes to the front.
Yep.
Always.
Christians, it is time to cancel Target. And here's why.
It is absolutely wild to me how Christians just walk this earth assuming that everything is for them. And if it's not for them, if it's marketed towards other kinds of people or groups, then they lose their minds. Like, imagine walking into a Target and automatically losing your shit because you see things that do not represent you or your beliefs and values, and therefore